Okay, so the first question is, what does love mean for these writers?
From Ruth Irigaray, I thought that she kind of thought of love as like something that was like selfless. Because she's talking about like I love to you, showing like the direction, like not really expecting anything back, just like giving your love to that certain someone or certain thing that you're showing love to. You're not like you're not just like implicating, like I don't know. She was talking about how like sometimes when you say I love you, it implicates possession over like whatever you're saying I love you to. Like you they fulfill certain needs, or that's their job as an object to like fulfill certain needs that you have, and that's why you love them. So that's what I kind of got what she was saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. She says like what I understood is that like, we don't have to change the way we are or like when we love someone. She says um like we should respect the transcendence of the other without like losing our own sense like of respect for myself. That's what I understood of the way she expressed love. Like we cannot be with someone else um if we're gonna change the way we are probably.
I agree with you. I think that the other one was more of kind of a pessimistic view of love. Um, like it kind of sounded like, I don't know, they made a lot of different statements about love in the second piece, I think, but a lot about how love is kind of a like an egotistical thing. Like you're feeding your ego by loving someone. I'm trying to look for the quote where it talks about this. When we fall in love, we position the person who is the object of our love in the place of the ideal ego. We love this object because of the perfection which we have striven to reach for our own ego. So the other author kind of makes it sound like to love somebody is like loving is selfish in nature because at the key of loving someone it's really about like feeling good yourself. You want to have like gratification and you want to feel loved. Whereas the other author was talking about giving love to, so not wanting anything in return.
Mm.
Can you say the quote again, Ivy?
On it says, for romantic love to emerge, one does not need the real person present. What is necessary is the existence of the image. Lacan first defines love in terms of a narcissistic relationship of the subject. What is at work in falling in love is the recognition of the narcissistic image that of the ego ideal. When we fall in love, we position the person who is the object of our love in the place of the ideal ego. Like it uses a lot of heavy, heavy language, but I think what it's trying to say is just like to love a person as an object like is only fulfilling like your own narcissism. I think is what it's trying to say.
Is that from the first one?
Second.
The second one that I'm trying to think of how to say the author's name.
Oh,
The
yeah,
one
yeah,
that was like 13 pages, the one that's longer.
Uh-huh. The longer ones.
Yeah.
Okay. The first one. Okay.
Yeah, I like kind of disagree with the second author. Her name's like Renata or something like that. Well, like because she says like you can't be in love with someone if, or that we can be in love with someone if they're not there. But I mean, like, yeah, that's true, but it's not because, like, we don't really love someone. It's just because, like, love's just a feeling, like, it's just an abstract thing, so of course it's not gonna go away just because someone's not physically there. So I don't know, I just think she's kind of overthinking it a little bit.
I feel like when she was talking about how, like, when she said, like, when you were saying, for a romantic love to emerge, one does not need the real person present. What is necessary is the existence of the image. I feel like that's kind of like, I don't know, getting into, like, dangerous waters because, like, if you're away from someone for a long time and you, like, just, like, remember the good things, like, she talked about, like, an example, in like a story or something where like these two people who weren't really meant to love each other because they weren't in the same like social like group or whatever, how the guy like all he had of that woman was like the memories of her. And I feel like once, I don't know, when you get to that point, you don't really like, I don't know, you kind of only remember the good parts of like the relationship that they had, or like just in general. Like if you're away from someone, you like only remember the good parts and you're kind of romanticizing the good. So I don't know if like that's good to just like, I feel like it can happen, I guess, but I feel like you still need the real person to like truly love them because that's who they really are, not
Like,
just
are you
like
saying like is that still love? Like what you're talking about, Kaylee, is that still love, or are you saying like those are just purely
Yeah.
like happy?
yeah, exactly.
But I think that also depends on the person or the couple. Like
That's true.
there's people who can be like far away, and the love they have for each other just becomes stronger. Or there's other people who are like far away and they just, since they don't have each other physically, they just don't love each other anymore.
Yeah. Oh.
One thing I did agree with the story that you were referencing, that couple, that man, what was it, a butler or something?
Yeah.
And he's in love with this woman, but he's like so confined by like everything in the social realm that basically like a layer of like hidden desire to it. But he does it everything so covertly. Like he can't just say, "Oh, I want to go travel to the city to see Miss Keaton, Miss Kenton, whatever it is." He has to like hide everything socially. And I think I don't know. I think, when we live in like, in Hawaii or in the U.S., wherever you are, we don't maybe feel that as much of pressure in the 21st century, but I think it still exists to an extent. Like, you're only going to fall in love with a person like society allows you to be around. So, like, if you're in an arranged marriage, like, what do you do, It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Should we go on to the next question?
The next one. How does love follow up as need to happen as far as these?
What?
So do you want me to say it again? It's a little confusing. How does love affect the way we see another person? And does this necessarily need to happen, seeing them, as far as the writers are concerned? So basically, like, do we need to see a person? What is asking?
I feel like love affects how we see someone because, like, it kind of magnifies whatever, however they are. Like, if you love them, it kind of magnifies it a little more. Like, you're a little more observant to their qualities. Like, it could be bad or it could be good. Like, couples that have been together a long time, they probably fight a little bit more. and it's because they see each other's bad qualities more than anyone else. But it could also go the other way too. Like, if you love someone, like, you're more apt to see their good qualities. Like, if you're like blind in love or whatever, like, you just only want to see the good things about them. So it kind of just changes our perception.
Yeah, I agree with you. But sometimes when we love someone, as you say, we start seeing like the bad and the good things that that person have, and sometimes when we really love someone, we start seeing those bad things as good things, and we start to like, or we just try to make that person change those things. So there's, I don't know, like more love in the relationship probably.
I have a comment on the one that love is not like a doesn't need like a physical appearance and stuff. And I kind of like think of like this question, like if you don't really see that person or it's all in your dream in your mind, um, the way that they see the person that they love could affect in a different way. If like their own imagination of love like is being is always being like around like a good environment, I think the way that they see a person will be like perfect because they are always being positive about like how they see things. And if they don't really have the physical appearance to really get to know each other. But another way is when if they've been like influenced, they've been seeing like the bad relationship or those kind of things, and the way that they see another person could be different. They could like create like a weird or like a thought, like a doubt and stuff like that towards another person. So it could affect in a different way. So I don't know. I think it's kind of different. How would you like can really know another person if you are not really with them?
Do you think like being in love with someone can cloud your judgment of like reality, like how screwed your version of reality? Like, do you think you see them in a more idealized version than they really are?
Yeah, like automatically. I don't know if you're talking to her specifically or just anyone, but I just have a comment really fast.
In general.
Okay. Like people in like abusive relationships, they like can't, they don't understand like that they're really being abused because, I mean, they sometimes do, but they like don't want to leave because they're like, oh, he's not really like that, or she's not really like that, and so they're just like kind of in denial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they have like an idealized version of what they are. They just like hang on to like the good times, and they don't want to believe that they can be like bad or like tarnish that like idol that they have in their mind.
Okay, let's look at the next one. So, do you agree with the definitions of love that these writers use?
I personally agree with the author that wrote "I Love to You." I think what she says is very true. Like we don't have to change the way we are, and we have to respect ourselves. When we fall in love for someone, sometimes people make the mistake of just changing the way they are just to satisfy their couple, and I think that's completely wrong. If your couple truly loves you, you don't have to change anything about yourself. It's gonna respect you just the way you are. I agree with her.
Yeah, I really like the first one too. I just like the whole idea of like, I like that you changed the phrase "I love to you" because I think it is more of a better way of phrasing it because love is supposed to be selfless. So that's kind of more what that is about. Is you're giving love. You're not expecting anything in return. If you really love someone, you just love them and accept them as they are, as like you said. So I agree with that one the most. The second one I do agree with to an extent, but some of it I think is like a really, really pessimistic view of love.
I think I agree with the second one. I don't know if I like read it right or interpreted it right, but she said, "When we fall in love, we position the person who is the object of our love in the first place of the ideal ego." And then like I wrote in my notes, they said like objects gives to the other what they don't have. So it kind of reminded me of like kind of like opposites attract, or like when we look for like a partner or something, or like yeah, just like a partner, we're looking for qualities sometimes of like what we don't have, just to like I don't know, or like oftentimes when you see couples, you see like one's this way and then one's like the opposite of that, and they kind of like complete each other, or I don't know. They
Yeah, they like fulfill each other.
yeah
What each other's lacking, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. So I agree with her like in that way. Or
Yeah. Um, I kind of like jump between the two articles because like the first one is really you feel like you don't really expect anything back at all from the love. Like you just like give the love to another person. And then for the second one, I feel like there's some idea of like a positive idea toward another person. It's like you don't need anything. You just love them in your mind and in your feelings. Like you trust them. I feel like it's more like a trusting relationship kind of thing. So I kind of agree with both of them in one way.
Um, a quote that kind of goes with what Keely was talking about. It says, "When we are in love, the love object placed in the ego ideal enables us to perceive ourselves in a new way, compassionate, lovable, beautiful, decent. Because of the ideal invested in the person we love, we feel shame in front of him or her. We try to fascinate this person." So it's almost saying like to be, like in love, you transfer all those feelings you have about that person also on yourself at the same time. Like you feel like a better person. I think there is some subconscious reason why we seek out like that affection of other people because it like fulfills that just like innate human need, I guess. Like so there has to be like some tiny selfish component to love, I guess, is what I'm saying.
mm,
Um, Next question. Let us see.
The next question is just
Do you agree?
writers. What other definitions of love might you suggest?
Well, I just don't like that everyone's trying to put a definition of love, because it's just like such a personal thing. Like it's probably a little bit different for everyone. And so, I don't know, it just kind of bothers me that all these authors are trying to like come up with some like super complicated, wordy definition, like Immanuel Kant, and like, I mean, yeah, there's a definition to a point, but there comes a point where it's just kind of like a personal thing.
Yeah, I think when I read it, I kind of feel like it's the same way with the beauty. It's like beauty is also like a personal style and the way we like it. And yeah, it was a little funny how they like to defines everything. What is what?
Yeah.
But um, I think if I kind of agree with both in a little, in some way, but then of course like we have like another way of like how we um, think that what love is, and I feel like love for me is not entirely like the first one. For me, it's like I give all to another person, but then of course like we are human and we at least if the person doesn't love us back, like it's not a relationship. But of course we can love someone that we're trying to be compassionate toward another person, but even though they don't love us, they hate us, but we're trying to be compassionate towards people. So like it could be many different ways, but all of them I think there's like through our heart that we think positive about that person. I think that's love for me.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I kind of agree. I think it's like in a way they both overanalyze love kind of a lot, especially the second one. Like I feel like in a way it like strips down the definition of love just to like I don't know, like subconscious human things. Like when they're talking about Freud, you're basically taking away all of a person's like own choices and personality, and you're saying you're falling in love because that's biologically what humans do. You
Mm.
know, if you started bringing up Freud and things like that, and it kind of takes away from like the whole abstract and personal feeling of love and just makes it like scientific. You know, like the way some people say love is like, oh, it's just a chemical in your brain. It's not really real. You know, that's kind of how I felt like the second author was. Like they were kind of dismissing love in some ways.
I think love can be looked at different ways, and as Taylor said, it just depends on how you look at. I think each person gives the definition of love. Each couple gives the definition of love. I think love have so many meanings that no one has like a real true meaning for love.
Oh, yeah, and there's like different types of love. There's like the love you feel for like romantic love, but then there's like love you feel for like your family. And so how can you put a definition on it when it varies so much?
Yeah, you don't love your family the same way you love your girlfriend or your boyfriend.
Mhm.
Like so many ways you can see love.
I think that the way that we experience love is different, like in every relationship that we're in. But I think the first author that we read, Lucia Gray, she kind of got down to the root of like how we, I don't know, how love should be or like should be given, and it should be, I don't know, just like true love. When you have true love for someone, you don't really expect anything back. And I feel like that's true in every relationship that we have. Like, if you really love someone, I don't know, you do anything for them, not really expecting them to do anything for you. And that's like what I kind of got from what they're saying.
Yeah, I think there's a quote for that from the first article that you're talking. I like the line that is say I don't remember what page, but I have it. I say I marry you in the sense that I am making you my wife or my husband. That is, I take you, I am making you mine. Rather, it is, I hope to be attentive to you now and in the future. I ask you if I may stay with you and I am faithful to you. So, like, when you like the way she said like I love you, and then it's like, or I marry you, it's like you are mine, you're subject to me and stuff like that. But then like the way that she like defines it is like, instead of like, why not saying I hope to be attentive to you now and in the future, that I'll remain faithful in you and stuff like that. So I think that's a good way to look at love as well. So there's some part it's good and some part is too much.
Yeah. So it seems like everyone kind of agrees and disagrees on with a little bit from both. All right. So now all that's really left just talk about what we want to put in the paper. I'll go ahead and write it because I had so many schedule problems this week. I don't mind. I think this is all I have to do for tonight. So I think we're just writing, right? Telling us what your group decided these two writers mean by love. So we can kind of make almost any statement about what these writers are telling us about love.
Yeah, they're basically saying that love, like the love can be expressed in many ways, but you cannot change the way you are, or just lose respect for loving someone. That's the statement I was going through.
Like the articles are complementary at all, or are they like they're opposing each other?
I feel like they're opposing each other. Like the first one's talking about how we should be selfless when we love, but the second one's like saying that we're like unconsciously selfish.
We're being selfish. Okay, that's what I thought too. So just trying to like think of a thesis for this paper. But probably just like one author sees love as like an unselfish act, like giving love to someone, not respecting anything in return. The second one's kind of talking about to being love, you're kind of inherently being selfish and you're like building your own ego and self-esteem by being in a relationship. Is that okay with everybody? Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think, yeah, we're good on time, so I'll stop the broadcast.